Hello, and welcome to another episode of Point to Point. It's the show where I drive from one place to another and try to get to the point. Today's episode is me driving from school to train. And today's episode is specifically about... I think that this is becoming a trend, and I'm sorry about it, but we're having Gamer Gripes Part 2. The first part of this gamer gripe is I have played the first hour and a half of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and the thing that person online was grumpy about knowing was spoiled is literally a line of dialogue that happens in the first 2 minutes, and I cannot believe that either you went in, even if you went in completely blind and you had no idea that this thing was about to happen, if you didn't know what the gommage was, if you didn't know any of that stuff, one of the principal characters in the first conversation you have, in the second line of dialogue that she says, explains what is happening. And I just don't get it. But that's fine. Let's move on to Gamer Gripes Part 2, and this is... Phil read an article on the internet and now has thoughts about it. There was a piece that was shared in one of the Discords that I'm in from PC Games N, which I guess is part of the N Network, a British games publication network founded by a former member of Future back in 2012. I had never heard of PC Games N. I thought that it was just a rebrand of PC Gamer, but it appears not to be. It's something else. And the article was basically talking about how the tacked-on multiplayer experience and how games like Night Rain and FBC Firebreak are basically these tacked-on multiplayer experiences from like the heyday of Mass Effect 3's weird multiplayer game, etc. And the piece is generally good, and I like it. There's actually a really good breakdown of kind of where FBC Firebreak fell apart, and I agree with actually a lot of the sentiment there about how it seems weird that you're just going into the FBC to do missions and it involves shooting when a lot of that game is not shooting. A lot of Control is like dealing with all of the weird altered items and kind of having to do puzzles to solve them. I kind of agree that it seems like FBC Firebreak does not have enough of that stuff, and instead is kind of like kooky, quirky party shooter kind of. And I feel like, yeah, like the tone of that game is maybe not what folks who liked Control really thrive on, which I get. Part of the reason that I am not interested in FBC Firebreak. But they also, in that piece, there's just an offhand line. I think it was in the like social share headline, but it was obviously an alt headline, so it didn't show up on the page itself. But the headline basically alluded to, hey, FBC Firebreak is not working out really well, and it's kind of DOA. And that makes me think that Control 2 is bad too. And here's the thing. FBC Firebreak could die tomorrow, and I still have absolute confidence that Remedy is going to knock Control 2 out of the park. Like, let's recall and go back to when Control came out, and that game was kind of a hitchy mess. Remember, they had to basically put out a performance patch later in the kind of like Ultimate Edition that finally got that to run. Like, you would have to basically like, I remember the map was being weird when you would like load it in and all the physics objects are flying around. So like that was also had some stuff going on. The shooting in that game was not the thing to kind of hang your hat on, and the powers were kind of the fun bit. So like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of retrospective, like Control was a 10 out of 10 video game. But when it came out, the consensus was very much that this is a cool world, but the game part is like not the best. It's serviceable and fine, but it is not like super great. And I think that is probably fair. The thing that really bothers me though is that this notion that because a studio, which I guess let's peel back the layers here. So first, the constant refrain that we hear all the time is every studio is putting out the same IP, the same game. It's sequelitis all over the place. Everyone is just making the same thing always, and they all have turned into walk and talk third person shooters or axe swingers or Souls-like games, right? Like that's kind of what we keep hearing from people who are playing a lot of games. And the refrain is, man, I just sure wish that these studios that are really well known for doing something would finally be allowed to do like a weird, kooky idea that they have to try something out and have some fun. And so that's what Remedy did. And now there is this piece in PC Games End that's just like, hey, look, this studio did the thing that we asked everyone to do, and now not only is it bad because this is the first time they've done something like that, so I guess that's not surprising, but also it now is making me think that this game is bad, and therefore the thing that they're actually really well known for and that we wish that they would kind of step away and experiment and do other stuff, well, now I think that one might be bad too. And I just can't deal with that. Like, what? Alan Wake 2 was one of the best reviewed games that came out in 2022 when it came out. Everyone loved Alan Wake 2. It was Control and Alan Wake together, and it was better for it. And now, because FBC Firebreak, a $40 multiplayer mode that is like serviceable at best, is like not great, we're now like looking at Control 2 thinking, yes, this is the downfall of Remedy. No more will they make the good weird like shooter game. Like I just don't understand I don't understand where this is coming from. And it just is this like, it's just this dichotomy that I feel like games press and like not just press, like I think this article is actually getting at something that a lot of people are feeling in general, but it just like really bothers me that like the reason that Remedy is able to take a swing at making a 3-person co-op PvE first-person shooter in their own universe is because Control and Alan Wake 2 were so good. And because they have changed the genre and the type of game that you are playing, like maybe they just thought that the moody, spooky puzzle game that Control is not a good fit for, a multiplayer game. And I might think that they are wrong about that. You might think that they're wrong about that. But that doesn't change the fact that the laurels that they are resting on is that they made those other games. Like they did that other stuff. They made those other games. You can't take that away from them. And you can't also say the studio tried something new, it did a big experiment, and then it bombed, and now that means that the thing that they're actually good at is also going to be bad and tainted by the stink on FBC Firebreak. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, even if the same exact people are working on it, they're going to go back to many of the things that made Control and Alan Wake 2 so successful, and then they're just going to do that. Like, that would be like saying, yes, Control 2 was great, but one of the DLCs that came out for Control really sucked, and therefore Alan Wake 2 is going to be a terrible game. And that's just not how it works. And I think that there's this kind of the actual problem here, and I guess my point to all of this rambling, that my gamer griping, is that when this is the reaction to a studio taking a shot and missing, the sentiment and kind of the incentives behind that studio kind of plummet. Like, there's no reason for them. Like, everyone is saying, yes, look, they tried a thing, it failed. No one is playing it, so the money that we spent on this, like, let's hope that we can recoup some of it, but generally this is now DOA. The incentive is no longer to kind of, back that game up and kind of put more support behind it. You did a Concord, good job, move on. And then the second part is you're now indicating that because you took a shot on this, there is negative brand implications to the thing that you are known for. So the incentives are now all out of whack, right? Like, not only are you not getting monetary incentives, you're also now getting negative press and negative incentives to do this again because it's impacting the thing that actually makes you money. So what we've done here is that we've, because FBC Firebreak is not good and has kind of failed, we've now just made it so that the likelihood of Remedy trying this again and learning something from FBC Firebreak to like make a different multiplayer game or like make, I don't know, like a walking simulator in the Remedy universe or like literally anything else, the stakes to doing that just went up. Because now we've shown, like, because you made a game that didn't resonate with a lot of folks, that the chance that you make another game that doesn't resonate with folks, and now Alan Wake 3 is going to take possibly going to take a monetary hit, like, that becomes more risky. And it becomes more risky to try new things. It becomes more risky to try new things and fail. So then you do what every other studio is doing now, and you just say, well, you know what? Let's just make God of War 3. Let's just make another Uncharted. Like, let's not try this intergalactic thing. It's time to go back, and it's time to do Last of Us Part 3. And that's how we get this sequel-itis. And I'm not saying that we get the sequel-itis because you didn't buy FBC Firebreak. FBC Firebreak does not sound like a game for most people. It does not sound like it is a game for the people who like these types of games. So don't pay for it. Like, allow that to be the incentive. But taking that the next step further and saying, game dead equals studio dead that's just too far. Like, that's not how this works. Like, it's not how creative projects work. It's not how big businesses like Remedy work. We kind of just have to constrain what we're doing. And much like how I felt about Veilguard, like all of the poo-pooing about Veilguard before it even came out, like, let the work speak for itself. Don't reflect the outcome of Firebreak onto stuff that isn't even out, like, let alone shown. Like, we don't know anything about Control 2. I think the most we know about it is that it has finally entered production. Like, let the text speak for itself, and like, stop kind of reflecting this to make your headline grandiose or your point about FBC more grandiose than it really deserves to be. So I don't know. That's a Gamer Gripe Part 2. I will now take a break on Gamer Gripes because it's bad energy for the morning. But I kind of wanted to talk about it because it really frustrates me when so much of this industry is very self-defeating at times, and part of that just comes from a bunch of enthusiastic gamers. But I just feel like we can do better, and we can, like, you can make a good critique like this piece does, a good critique about FBC Firebreak without having to kind of sensationalize it to the point where now I'm thinking about if Remedy is going to make it out of this one alive, because like they will make Control 2. But that's today's episode of Point to Point. Thanks for hanging out with me on this drive to the train station. I got a train to catch. So thanks for hanging out. 70% complete. Links in the show notes. All that jazz. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I will catch you tomorrow. See ya.